afternoon, my name is Lord Pete, and today I'm going to be talking about contending with the serfdom when in China. Now that's a bit of a snooty title, I know, I just couldn't think of any other way to put it. Underclass, peasantry, there is no one term that sounds better than the other to me, so contending with the serfdom. Now, if you go to work in, say, Beijing, Shanghai, Hong Kong, you're not really going to see it. Not to the point that you will if you go to one of these many other cities in China, which are many cities, twice the size of London, easily, more, 3 times the size of London. And there are literally hundreds of millions of people who are members of this underclass doing all of the horrible jobs, necessary work and very important work that, quite frankly, we don't do and won't do. It could be that you consider yourself to be a person who adores foreign cultures and very pro-multicultural and so on, and okay, that's great, but just because you enjoy dining in Indian restaurants and wearing beads in your hair, that doesn't mean to say that you're going to be completely and totally okay with what you see in many parts of China. They smoke everywhere, very heavy smokers, they shout, they spit, and there's that might not be so important, but there are other things that you will see. I've seen many times the men openly hit their wives, hit their children. These sorts of things are, it's not uncommon, and you just cannot involve yourself with it. I could tell you stories about Westerners who've tried to intervene in these situations and have got themselves into a lot of trouble, including jail time. So, what to do? Okay, start by having some humility, okay? Having some humility. Don't just naturally assume that you're superior. They are different, okay? It's a different way, but you can't let it get to you. Be friendly and accept it, because they are so friendly. They can really be wonderful, but we had, for example, we've had a staff member, I had a lady from Newcastle, a Geordie, from the north of England. She came and it was the first time out of her sort of safe white suburb, and she was so excited. She thought China would be kung fu and temples and Tai Chi and all of this sort of thing. And she got there and she was pretty horrified by a lot of it. And it wasn't that long before we went to a pharmacy. She'd been there a few weeks. We go to a pharmacy, there's a peasant lady. I actually recognized her and her husband. They sweep the streets, and occasionally I'll see them going down into the sewers. And they always said a friendly hello. But anyway, they were standing at the counter. And we stand at the counter waiting to be served. There's no queuing, of course. Everybody just sort of jumps in. And finally, this Geordie lady, she stormed off to the other side of the pharmacy. She grabbed toothpaste, mouthwash, toothbrush, came over, slapped it down in front of the peasant lady and said, "Use them, your breath stinks," and stormed off out of the pharmacy. She didn't last long, that lady. She didn't last long at all. And that is not the way to handle it. She was very lucky that lady, okay, they speak Ningbo Kwa, they don't speak Mandarin. Very lucky that she didn't understand, because that loss of face, that's not something that you want to do. So you can't let it get to you like that. You just can't let it get to you. You have to accept it, be friendly, and live your life. I went to work in a school where they were so friendly to me, but they were doing these jobs that were just so horrible. You'd see them come up from underground, they're covered in all of the filth, and they sit down, they're having a smoke and a beer while they have a break, and happy away, doing all these sorts of things, and back-breaking work. They look very old when they're still relatively young. And finally I said to my assistant, I want to meet these people. I want to just have a little talk to them. I want to find out what makes them tick. Can you arrange an introduction or something? And there was just like a campsite behind the school, massive school grounds. We had our apartment buildings, very nice apartments. On the other side, they lived at this campground around a canal. So she said, "Well, I don't think it's a good idea, but I can take you there if you want." This girl was a local, she spoke the dialect and so on. So we go down there, and from the beginning they were friendly, but it was quite clear that I wasn't really that welcome, so I just had a beer and a little chat and then left. And I said to her, that didn't really go too well, did it? She said, "Peter, they don't think that you should be there. They see you as the Western professor, okay? And that you've got your apartments, they've got where they live. No air conditioning, no heating, that's where they live. You're educating their children, they're all literate. And so they just think it's great. And I said, yes, but I just really wanted to talk a little bit more about their lives. She said, I'll tell you about their lives, okay? There used to be, decades ago, signs all around this neighborhood, this part of town, saying, remember, comrades, it's immoral to eat your children, okay? The locals, they'd ate all the bark off the trees, the lawns, ate it all up. The men were going out, just not to work, but to find anything to eat, coming home, starving, taking the baby and throwing it in the pan, cooking it, eating it. It got to the point where there weren't that many children around. So those people, those workers at that campsite, they are the grandchildren of the children who survived. Could you